What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Knights here, and welcome back to Mordhau. Today I have some exciting news to share with you guys regarding the combat in Mordhau. Now, it is common knowledge to most Mordhau players that the animations and readability of the animations have been very broken and not in a very good place for quite some time now. So fortunately today we got an update addressing all of those problems, if not the bulk of those problems, which is a wonderful foundation for us to build upon a more satisfying, less frustrating game, and will ultimately help the competitive ranked community out in the long run. So this is not an update in the way of content, but in my eyes this is a very important update. And again, they have promised us these new maps in the next 3 or so days. Now again, things can go wrong. The update might not come out in a few days, but there is a 90+% chance that we will be getting the new maps. And Rank 3s has been hinted at. It will be coming out shortly. It may not be out in the next 3 days, but it will be out in the next month and a half or so. At least that's what I believe. I'm going to sort of skip over some of the map changes and things like that, and I'll hit on those later. But the real meat and bones of what changed is within the combat. So kind of listing off the most important things is that adjusted regular strike release curve now looks better and more readable. This is big news, guys. So normal strikes, not specific strikes, have supposedly been fixed. Now I tested this out a little bit against a bot, and it did appear to be a lot smoother, and this is really good news for the community. So kind of touching on some of the other changes that happened to the combat. Miss combos no longer have lunge. This is great. Riposte can now be chambered. Their chamber window is the entirety of the windup, meaning you can only chamber from a windup, which is fairly standard. Now this is a very circumstantial ability, but I do believe it to help out in 1vx. Riposte clashes will now overpower regular strikes. So what does this mean? Once you riposte and you enter a clash with a different player that is attacking you, again, this would only occur in 1vx, that clash will overpower them. So on the very next strike, your strike will overpower their attempt at a clash and will go straight through their clash and into them and deal damage unless they parry. Now what does this mean? What this means is that in 1vx, you're able to riposte, clash into a secondary target, and if they decide to keep clashing, you will then win a tempo, win damage, win back some stamina. And their only other option is to go for a parry, which will directly take them out of the fight for a second or two and will slow down the attack on the majority side of the 1vx. So this is overall beneficial. Flesh wound has been reduced to 2 points instead of 3, but now your stamina will be set to 0 when it triggers. This is great, especially since miss combos will no longer give you lunge. This has directly addressed the light armor flesh wound meta, and this is a good thing. Blocking horse rider's couch will no longer ragdoll. So what does that mean? I hope it means when you parry a horse couch that you don't get knocked on your ass. I hope it means that you just get disarmed. That would be a great change. I don't think if you're able to parry an attack, I think it deserves a full block and no damage. And if it does do damage, at least not knock you to the ground. But this may be something different. Under visuals and miscellaneous, which most of these things I believe to be under combat, but they put it under this section for some reason. Team Flinch is now a server variable disabled by default. So you are now able to enable Team Flinch. And I believe this will be a preferred setting amongst most competitive players, especially moving forward with the ranked 3v3 playlist. It might actually be turned on by default in the ranked 3v3 mode, along with team damage will be at 100%. This will promote higher skill, more intentional swings, no body fainting against your teammates. This is overall a very good change. And again, it's off by default, so it's not a big deal. Riposte stabs no longer angle. So basically when you stab a riposte, it must be riposted from the same side that you parry. So meaning if you parry from the left, your stab must come from the left. This makes stab riposte much easier to read. This is great. It also prevents you from stab dragging a riposte as easily. Strike to stab morphs will now force the stab to use the same angle as the strike, making the action more natural and less snappy, and again more readable. Stab drags will still be a thing. They did not say this in the notes. Amongst riposte stabs, they will not be as much of a factor, and they will be much easier to read, along with most other types of strikes will hopefully be a lot smoother and a lot more readable. A lot of the issue is not derived from the swing itself, but from the windup and the wristy twisty JPEG changes and stuff like that. Finally, we have attack turn compensation is now enabled in all directions. Previously depended on angle, including horizontal had no up and down compensation, overhead had no right and left compensation. This will make certain cases more readable and no longer an instant hit. So you guys, what are your thoughts on the update? To me, it looks like some really good stuff that we've been needing for quite some time now. A solid foundation addressing the competitive community, and then in the next few days we're going to have some map updates that will be addressing the casual side. So I'm very happy with this. Devs are finally showing up to work. They're putting out some quality stuff, you guys. Nothing in these notes looks ludicrous in my eyes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you're looking forward to these changes along with the new maps coming shortly. Thanks again for watching the video, you guys, and I will catch you very soon.